I'm going to talk about future TV. I was traveling once on a plane, and I had like two Chinese sitting next to me, and they were like discussing. One guy was describing the 911 event to the other Chinese, the older Chinese, and after a few descriptions that he did, like in a detailed way that he described it, the older Chinese started asking him, like, so did you really breathe the cement? And this guy said, no, 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 I was just watching it on the TV. I didn't do any, I was like far off from New York. I was not in New York. So the thing is that television today brings so much of realism that he kind of, brought it in such a nice description for the other Chinese that he actually forgot, or he just didn't feel like he was not there, right? After a few minutes, this guy asked him, so what does your wife really do for work, right? And this Chinese, I was just sitting next to him, right? He really didn't know what his wife was doing. So the fact is, what television brings you is a good vision for the distant things, but you kind of forget what's happening in your short distance, right? So you like lose your short vision there. So that was an interesting thing that I wanted to cite here, what television can do. And I think it's quite normal. Most of the men do that. They're watching TV. There's some noise happening here. It's your wife speaking, right? And you just continue watching TV. What does future television, bring us today? I mean, I wanted to figure out. I was trying to do some research and see what television can bring. And I'm actually doing some project, and I wanted to bring some part of that project out here and seeing what television Verizon wants to take forward with, right? So with that, I was doing the research, and here's the thing I'm seeing. What we had like a few years from now, like we had broadcast television back in 1930s, right? And it started up to 1970s. We always had like just analog broadcast. Recently, we switched over to digital broadcast, but in between, you would have heard like people having cable. Cable was a big thing. Oh, this guy has a cable. What's so special about that time? Like, what you used to get in that cable is nothing much but an extra set of channels, extra set of information that was not coming on the analog broadcast. So there was a time when cable came in, and there was a few people really providing this cable service. The reason, if you analyze it, why did people use cable from analog transmission? The thing is, the content was increasing. Analog broadcast didn't have the bandwidth to really push this content, right? That's the reason why people moved into cable, where they could push more content, right? So if you look at the past and see how the future is going to span up, like extrapolate, we are somewhere here right now. If you understand the past, you can see where we can go forward. The content today is actually multiplying more and more. There was some content back in like 1930s, but today there's content almost everywhere. There are cameras, there are cheap cameras available everywhere. People can get cameras roughly for very cheap dollars, so they can really push content from anywhere. You can see content coming from Tampa, convention center, content coming from your normal broadcast channels, content coming from your house, the user-generated content. So there's content almost everywhere. The content is like so much more now than it was some years back. Other part in which television is improving, if you see, is the display technology, right? So apart from the access, the display technology is improving. Like we had something like 480p televisions, like 18, 19 inches. Now what we have is like 55 to 60 to 70 inch television. And then we have projectors who are really matching up and sitting in family rooms nowadays. So there is a huge churn in the display technology that the future is really promising us. I was just trying to think about it. What would be the best display possible as we go forward? Can you guys think what would be the best display eventually? Like say, what would be like 20 years from now? 3D is one thing. HD, how HD? Are you guys really satisfied with the HD? I can tell one thing. I mean, if I see HD and I see my own image on the HD television, say my own recording, it's not as clear as I can see a mirror, right? So my thought is, eventually when we reach the limit, like 20 years from now, or what my kids would be seeing, would be probably as clear as you're standing in front of a mirror, right? So that's where the display is promising, and I believe we can really achieve that in a couple of years. So that's where the display will head towards. But as far as your surfing of channels goes, or how do you access the content, that's going to be a big challenge. Today, what cable provides is really not going to satisfy us there. You cannot really search your channels. Like, say for example, I give you somebody tells me, okay, yesterday there was a very good clip on the news, like ABC News, and it showed us like how a building was falling or something. Say Mohammed just tells me, and I want to see, okay, I missed it. How do I go and grab it again? I want to see it. Where do I see it? Can you tell me where would you go to see it? Exactly. So you fetch yourself on the internet. So what future is promising us today is the TV has to go internet. What's my desired list if I want, like 20 years from now? I want to be able to set a playlist of what programs I want to watch, set or be able to search my content, what I want to see any time. Like, you know, if I want to say, okay, where is this particular thing, I should be able to search it, Google it, right? And be able to organize it, play it anytime, take it from one screen to another. I should be able to watch a part of the program here and then take it on my cell phone or my laptop and continue further. All this is just possible if we continue using internet TV. So you can see, like, future is really setting up, and it's staged. I can tell you, like 10 to 20 years from now, what my kid will be watching is not the traditional cable TV, because cable TV doesn't have the bandwidth to really take the content that's really coming in. There's huge bandwidth which is coming in, huge content which is coming in, and what cable can provide is just 300 channels at most. That also not HD. So going forward, what you're going to see is a huge churn into internet television, wherein people will see all sorts of content coming in. You will be able to search it and use it further. So if you want to see the future, go towards internet television. Thank you.